Hey everyone. So today we're going to be looking at Castle Magic. This is going to be a multi-part series, basically a tutorial and all that stuff, just about the Castle Magic system, and maybe some housing tips along the way. So first things first, what is Castle Magic? So Castle Magic is the system put in place that allows players to just covered my face there. It allows players to mess around with stuff in their house that they wouldn't normally be able to get to mess with. It's basically a programming system put into housing in Wizard 101. So where do you get all this Castle Magic stuff? Castle Magic spells and items can be purchased in Marleybone by a guy who's in Reagent Square. He's pretty easy to find. He'll have a quest for you, all that good stuff. Um, and that's basically a brief overview of the kind of the gist and where to get Castle Magic and stuff like that. So let's go over the first and most important part of Castle Magic, the activators. So what's our first activator? Well, over here we have our buttons. So there's a wall version of the button and a floor version of the button. They both do the same thing. It's just one can be placed on a wall, the other can't. Buttons can be placed or pressed using X or whatever your activate key, which I don't think you can actually change. So X. As many times as you want and as fast as you want. They're really, really easy ways to test out things. So there we go. That's me pressing the wall button and it grew the present. And if I press the floor button, it shrinks the present. Um, so those are those two. They're pretty simple. I use them a lot in a lot of my builds and stuff, and it's really helpful to kind of do what you need to step by step. Um, if you liken it to redstone in Minecraft, it's like using a lever to activate a redstone part and stuff like that. The next part are the other interactables. So you have a pressure plate. Now pressure plates activate when you step on them and when you step off. So they're pretty easy to use. I made a maze out of these at one point because they're nice and square and they can fit in a lot of good places. And they're overall easy to use. Levers, similar to a pressure plate, have the two states of activation. So you have when you press it and when you release it. Okay, so those are pretty simple. Braziers can be a little more difficult depending on what you want to use them for. But they have the fire state, the storm state, the ice state, and the off state. So basically double what you would have with those, except you can press X on them. The lever and the brazier can both be activated as fast as you can activate a button, but sometimes that messes up things, so you want to be careful about that. The last part of the visible activators, very specifically, because there are a bunch of invisible ones that we'll get to in the next room. But for the visible ones, we have the fire, ice, and the storm catcher. And these collect orbs of their respective school. So you go ahead, just walk up to it, and then walk up to your orb catcher. See, it made that disappear. So that was fire. Ice goes in the ice. And storm goes in the storm. Now, if a player collects more than one of these items, you'll get that. And if you have even more scattered around their house, you'll get like a number next to each of those. So it's pretty nice and easy. So that's all of the physical ones, the ones that we can see as a player. And then if I go ahead and press hello, so we get teleported over to this other room. So how did I do that? Well, there's this thing called a magic text detector. You'll notice all of these detectors in this room are invisible when I am out of housing mode. So that means that none of your guests will be able to see these. So they're really useful. So a magic text detector, these have a range. So for this demonstration, I've put entire area, meaning the entire inside of this house. If you ever say hello, it will teleport you to the nearest target, or to teleport the nearest player to the target. Okay, so I set that target up to be here. This is a magical reflector, but we'll get onto those in a later video. This is just the activators for this one. The next one we have here is a magic player detector. So player detectors, much like a pressure plate, have or activate when you step in them and when you step out of them. So these are really useful. I've used these in a lot of places actually in my current house, and it's just nice to have basically. It lets you make things happen when a player walks over it without them being without being too intrusive. So I don't have a bunch of pressure plates everywhere and stuff like that. The next kind of detector like that we have is called a room detector, and room detectors are like it's over here in this corner. Room detectors are like a player detector, except they have range to them. So if I step in, you'll see it activates. And I got the little spell. I don't remember the name of it, but it was cute, so I decided to use it. And then it also activates if you step out of that area. So these are really useful too. I don't use them quite as much as I probably should, but these can have a very, very large range. I was testing it out earlier in this corner, and it didn't unactivate until I was out here, like in this hallway. So that's cool. They're really useful. The last two activators we have are the jump detector. So this detector, obviously, if you jump within the area, depending on what you set it to, will do something. So in this case, it moves this Sunday close to this detector. So let's test that out once. There you go. So it moved. And the last detector we have is the item detector. And this item detector, you go over here and you can select the target. So in this case, it's our Sunday. Okay. You can set the range of it. And item detectors, much like a player detector, will activate when something enters. If I keep jumping, when something exits as well. So those are all of the current detectors in the game. I will be going over a few more things on the next episode, specifically computers, counters, start detectors, and just all that other good stuff, all the invisible stuff, basically. We'll be going over in the next video. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, y'all have a good day. Bye.